Long night.
Right.
Long night.
What's that?
One time I did that.
You like that?
I lived here on Church Street, and we had a big aquarium in there, and I had Oscars in there. They're in there, and he's crying. I'm walking. I'm tired. I'm like a zombie. I'm walking.
David Parks told me that Austin Goodwin is
Walking by.
for
He must
public
have
hearing.
turned it all the way up. It's a big aquarium. The next day, I come in, and I walk in. I said, this float in there, right?
Hi, Kevin.
How are you? So then I touched the glass because it's up high. And it was hot. There was heat coming from it. I go, holy shit, he boiled it for it.
Oh, man.
That was funny.
Turn that thing on. Don't be shy. Okay, if I could, I'd like to call the regular meeting of Tuesday, October 11th, 2022 to order. I ask that all who have not signed in, please do so. Please turn off all cell phones and other electronic devices. Emergency exits can be found to your right and to your left. And at this time, if you please join us, let us salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And again, these meetings are also live streamed via YouTube with the text commenting available to the general public. So at this time, we go to our public hearing. We'll ask our deputy town clerk to please read the public hearing notice.
The notice of the public hearing for an establishment of the Fairways Phase 3 Lighting District Extension scheduled for the 11th day of October 2022 at 7 p.m. was published in the Daily Messenger on September 30th, 2022, and is posted on the signboard at the Town Hall, Village Hall, and on the town's website.
Thank you very much, Cam. And this would be Austin?
Yes, correct.
You introduce yourself, sir?
Well, good evening, everybody. My name is Austin Goodwin, representing Pat Road. Very nice and short. To the point. Like you said, we are here to ask for the project. Phase 3 is currently all the way to in phase 3, we have installed. Those lights will be installed, designed, operated by our. That bill, of course, every month. Oh, are we not in for everybody? Would you like me to start over for anyone streaming in? Okay. We'll do this a second time. Good evening, everybody. My name is Austin Goodwin with Passero Associates, and I'm here today for the Fairways Phase 3 project. We are looking to go for the lighting district extension for the third phase of the project, which is currently in construction, taking the stub of Championship Drive from where it currently sits all the way to Gillis Road, which will complete the project. This phase contains 15 of the residential acorn-style lights you typically see from RG&E. Those 15 lights will be owned, operated, installed, designed, and energized by RG&E, which is typical for their lighting districts. And the estimated 2022 rate for that extension, which would be billed to the town on a monthly basis, comes out to about $590.50 a month. That bill would be, of course, distributed to each of the 72 individual lots as part of Phase 3, coming out to about $8.20 a month per townhome, give or take the season for how long we have our night cycle between summer and winter. Other than that, this is a pretty short one for me to explain, so if anyone has any questions, I'd be very happy to answer.
Austin, I do want to thank you for your attendance here and presenting this to us. I got to be honest, I've been sitting up here for a few years, and I don't think I ever recall a developer coming forward and presenting inclusion into a lighting district. So thank you. And board members, to Austin's point about the cost, that was something that certainly Rich touched on previously in our budget workshop as well, as far as how the collection of the monies will take place. So, any questions for Austin? Hearing none, then I'll ask if there's any members of the public that care to speak for or against the establishment of the Fairways Phase 3 Lighting District Extension. Okay. Then at this point, I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Austin, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, moving to, real quick, again, our Victor Town Clerk, Karen Bodine, will be necessarily absent this evening. As previously introduced, in her place is our Deputy Town Clerk, Kim Reese, so welcome, Kim. First order of business, approval of the September 26th Town Board, regular Town Board meeting minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Those
I
opposed?
will abstain as I was necessarily absent.
Yep, necessarily absent, Councilman Kohovic abstaining. This time, we'll ask our town clerk to introduce Bill's manifest number 19.
Manifest number 19 for 2022 in the amount of $421,101.99 has been reviewed by the Victortown Board with the following accounts charged: General Townwide, General Outside Village, Highway Townwide, the lighting districts of Fishers, Brookwood Meadows, High Point, Cobblestone, Quail Ridge, Rolling Meadows, Stone Lee, and the Legacy at the Fairways, and the SS Consolidated Sewer Fund.
Thank you, Kim. So up there on the screen, you'll see manifest number 19. We'll start with our first payment. Payment is to Shallow Law for assessment work. Next is payment to Harris Beach, $13,815.55. There are chargebacks. Minus them, there are then the cost to the town of $6,680.66. Next is payment to Integrated Systems. Labello Associates for the CDBG grant administration. Payment to Lehigh Hanson for paving and materials for the Raccoon Run and Deer Crossing project. Payment to New York State Comptroller for the August traffic fees. Payment to Southworth Milton for the excavator for the Highway Department. Payment to the Town of Farmington, RG&E Utility, Pump Station 7. Payment to Thruway Springs, snowplow for Parks Truck. Payment to Victor Central School, reimbursement for summer rec use and busing charges for activities this past summer, and payment to Villager Construction for reprofiling of Raccoon Run and Deer Crossing. Total of these above-mentioned expenditures is $390,953.75. Total town expenditures minus the previous mentioned expenditures equals $30,148.24. Board members, do you have any questions on this evening's abstract? Hearing none, and entertain a motion to approve the payments thereof.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Great. Privilege of the floor, we have no formal requests. Moving to public comments and concerns. Susie, I'll start with you. Do you have anyone via YouTube with any messages? Okay. And we'll ask if there's any members of the public. Sir, podium is yours. It was, I did see Mr. David was leaving Victor Central School after him and his wife were doing their civic duties and voting last Friday. So I just want to give you that round of applause for that.
Thank you, I'll accept it. Hi, my name is Dave Mankin at 1174 Chaucer Court. I know this is not probably a good time to talk about this, especially since I've been out in the audience and listening to a budget session, but I was very moved a couple of weeks ago. I attended the planning board meeting, and at the end of it, there was a discussion about a major housing build-out on Strong Road and Taylor Road. It's, I think, 35 acres, 11 homes. And there were about 8-10 couples there, all my age. I said, wow. And, some single people, and they all spoke eloquently. about this project, about their lives, about the history of the area, the geography of the area, that how, they went back to the Indians, to glaciers, drumlins. There are so few areas in this country that have drumlins. And I thought, wow, they're speaking to my heart. I can understand this. I'm not an envious person, but I sure wish that I had been born in Victor, 75 years ago. And watch it go. I mean, this is a lovely place, beautiful. And I hate to see things measured only by the amount of new homes being built, and trees destroyed, and landscapes, changed. These people all had little homes from what they were talking about. They have gardens. They have a way of life that's we dream about and we envision for ourselves sometimes. And it's being infringed upon. And I'm asking the board, I know money means a lot and budgets are important, and you think about monies that you can do for the populace. But you can't just measure wealth by the number of homes that are built. It's sometimes measured by sunsets and forests and grasslands and drumlins and things that can't be duplicated. And I ask, perhaps the only way to help an area, and I'm talking about the southwest wedge of the town, and maybe not to allow sewage, to infringe upon these areas, not to expand the water district. I understand, a few years ago, we had a discussion here about when Jeff Smith came in and he wanted to develop Bluemont. And Mr. Marin, your instincts are just so good. You said you didn't want to really expand the sewer south of 41. You thought you would like to have I believe, not to put words in your mouth, but I think I remember correctly, you weren't sure how you would, think about this. And then Michael countered, that the residents, people who lived here all their lives and have a right to, to sell their properties. But you could still sell property. It doesn't have, but if you restrict the sewer, you restrict the water expansion, you allow for people to buy land and put in their own septic, drill their own well, and keep the flavor or, the atmosphere of the area. And if you think about 50 years from now, 100 years from now, to keep this area and to maintain it in a nice way, the way it is, what a nice legacy to leave, It's just, it would be so meaningful. I could see people, taking drives at this time of year, looking at the foliage. So much of it is already destroyed. But to keep this area the way it is, not to stop progress, but to control it. And I thank you. You make people feel very welcome here, and I thank you all for it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other members of the public? Susie, you're still good? Okay, thank you. Moving to reports of town officials. Within your packet, you should have the economic development report, also town historian's report, Parks and Recreation, and again, under Parks and Recreation, Brian has provided board members with maps, Dryer Road, and Victor Municipal Park. The engineering was funded through ARPA funding, and it is our intention as well, those changes, or improvements, next year will also be funded through ARPA as well. Brian, if you would, please, comments to add, something you're looking for, some direction from this board?
Susie can pull those up. I'll talk to each of the concept plans, kind of walk you through where we are and how we got there, if that's okay with the board. I'll start with Dry Road Park.
We've got copies, Brian, if you,
I didn't know if she wanted it for the folks that are playing at home or the folks that are here.
Is the audio still working?
Oh, there we go.
there it is.
Super duper. All right, so we'll talk to the Dry Road Park plan first. Never did I think 19 years ago when we opened this park with 150 spaces, bless you, that I'd need all of them, but, well, here we are, 19 years later, and we need more. So kudos to you for having one of the most popular local and regional parks. The parking capacity at Dryer today is 150 vehicles. And initially, the park was paved to a portion. The large portion of the parking lot was double chip sealed in an effort to save costs. It was opened, as you can see, in 2004. Dry Road Park, if you're not familiar with it, folks, is a feature park in our system that hosts everything from Victor Youth and Adult Soccer programs, Victor Youth Lacrosse programs on its 3 athletic fields, including its box rink. The park also attracts many local and regional visitors due to the expansive trail system in the bike park. We also feature a children's playground there, a picnic shelter, year-round bathrooms, and it hosts many special events, including our movies in the park, as well as our annual egg hunt now, new concert series even this summer. What you'll find if you're there on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Saturdays, and Sundays is a park that's at capacity from a vehicle standpoint. We have many vehicles that are parking, folks are parking on one side of the road. At times last year, before we put up some signage this year, they parked on both sides of the road, which is, as you can imagine, an issue for getting someone in there, a first responder. At times, the vehicles even spill out onto the roads. So an increase in the parking capacity was seen, as Supervisor Marin mentioned. The funding is being provided through the American Rescue Plan funding, the federal funding. And so what we're showing on this concept is 26 new vehicle parking spaces adjacent to the bike park pump track, if you will, as well as 8 pull-in spaces along the entrance road near the handicap parking to the north or to the west of the parcel. And then we would also be looking at restriping it. Dryer's kind of unique. It attracts a lot of folks with bike racks. What we found is the bike racks often exceed a typical vehicle space, so the bike racks, or trucks, if you will, bikes on the back of the tailgates, they spill out into the aisles. So part of our team, myself, Jeff Rader, from park maintenance staff, as well as our engineers, Jason Ebbs and Justin Petzos from LaBelle Associates, what we found in our analysis is we need 18 to 20-foot spaces really at Dryer because of this unique characteristic versus a typical car vehicle space. The project, as depicted in these pictures, would involve some brush removal. One of our concerns was we didn't really want to expand towards the athletic fields. We want to maintain that brush, that barrier, largely because field 1 there is the dominant lacrosse field. So we want to prevent balls from leaving the playing field above and entering the vehicle spaces down below. So we want to retain most of that shrub buffer. We would need to take out some spaces, as you can see from the aerial, to accommodate better striping pattern. One of the other asides in this concept, it would involve reroute of the trail that comes down, that comes from Dryer Road, from the neighboring property across the street where Victor Hiking Trails has a revocable permit, and so we need to reroute that trail. It's a dirt trail, it's a natural surface trail, so it doesn't involve rerouting something like an asphalt trail or a stone dust trail. We would have to reroute that. There's a benefit to that too. It's better designed from a trail design standpoint to have it more serpentine versus just come straight down the hill as it is now. Okay? Ultimately, this is going to increase the parking lot capacity at Dryer by about 47 vehicle spaces, or about a 25% increase in its existing capacity. Comments, questions on the Dryer concept to start with?
Oh, well done. Steve, your team as well, working with Brian on this. Thank you.
So I'll move to Victor Municipal Park. At Victor Municipal Park, currently, we have 96 vehicle spaces. The parking lot was initially double chip sealed instead of just an asphalt pavement application in 2010 when the park was opened. And we expanded the parking lot in 2013 after the lodge and the volleyball court was built. And then we put in an additional pull-in lot as well when we added the band shell the following year. Victor Municipal Park is also a feature park in our system. It hosts numerous parties at the lodge, family gatherings at the picnic shelter, the fishing dock. It attracts visitors to our summer concert series, our fishing derby. And then in January, even we host one of the Greater Rochester Track Club's 5-mile road races, and oftentimes the parking lot is exceeded at that event. If you've been to the Sid Partington Summer Concert Series, you know that parking can be an issue, especially for folks that are forced to make a long walk. We have to park cars along the entrance road. This year, in fact, one of our concerts, we had 1,100 attendees, which was 300 over we've ever had before. We even had cars parking out on Brace Road, which is not something that's desirable from a customer service experience or a safety experience. In our Park and Rec Master Plan, we called out in 2019, adding on to the lot. This is fairly representative of what we initially called out in the Victor Municipal Park Master Plan back in 2019. We made some slight modifications to eliminate some of the brush removal and tree removal would have to do. The only thing that this design that we have to be cautious of is it would be an overlay over where the sanitary sewers come in from the village's sewer treatment plant. So that was the path of the utility route when we put in the sanitary sewers. In this concept, we'd be almost doubling the existing vehicle capacity to 85. We would also like to potentially look at, and I don't have a budget yet for you because I wanted to get an understanding of what the board thinks of these concept plans before we set some numbers to it. Also, we have a lot of potholes on that road. It's a long, the way that the village acquired the parcels was acquired through several acquisitions just to get us to the road. So it's quite frankly, it's a 2,500 lineal foot length. So we double chip sealed that. It's subject to our winters that we have here. So we are constantly patching the road. We'd like to look at possibly repaving that road, or at least having another chip seal application on that road. This concept requires a little bit of tree and brush removal, doesn't require a stormwater pond. We did look at a concept that didn't really gain us any spaces, but gained us enough acreage to require a stormwater pond. We'd prefer not to have a stormwater pond there from just a permitting standpoint, or just, we already have a pond in the park that we constructed as part of our wetland disturbance project, and the community wanted fishing habitat on this side of town. So we already have a pond there. We really prefer not to introduce another pond, and if we're under 1 acre, we won't have to do that. So this would give us a total in this concept of 181 spaces. It's this project, both of these concepts, as well as previous iterations, have been reviewed by the department staff in conjunction with our Labella team, and also reviewed by the Park and Rec Citizens Advisory Committee in their September meeting. So we're just looking for some direction from the town board and the public as far as what you like in these, what you'd like us to consider moving forward, and some logical next steps. With that, I'll open it up to y'all.
I think it's necessary. I mean, obviously, if you've been down to the park series, the municipal, that's a hazard, for sure. I mean, that goes without question, and I think the popularity of Dryer continues to draw attractions and folks, and, you know, there's people there that aren't even there for the event. They're there, you know, to use the natural habitats that are there, and not for a soccer game, and not for the box lacrosse or soccer, or whatever they're doing there. So I think the plans look good, and I would say get some numbers.
Get some numbers together.
Agreed. Yeah, I've been there with the concerts, and
Yeah.
people are parking almost, you know,
Well, they're gonna
all the way
end
to the road.
end up in the
And,
creek.
Yeah.
Yeah, and, you know, many of our more vulnerable
Yeah.
citizens, yeah.
Okay, anything
Hey,
else?
sir,
the
you
board?
good?
Okay,
Very good.
all right, thank you.
Yep. Next in your packet was the Planning and Building Department report. You will see, if you have it in front of you, on the front page, number 4, unfortunately, the old apple farm is now the orchard at Victor, and evidently the new owner doesn't feel that the mass gathering permit is necessary, so they had conversation last week with staff, and they're going to do a notice of violation here, but probably won't help us out this year, but not happy, not a good start. And I'm sure the town, the planning board will be well aware of it, or this body, come next year.
Supervisor, are you saying they'll still carry out their fall activity there? Or would that be restricted?
As far as the,
Oh, for their hay rides and whatnot?
yes,
Has that been stopped, or will that carry forward for the fall?
no, they allowed them to go forward,
okay.
but
I was just curious, I had seen a lot of advertising they had done for that, and coupons in the mail and whatnot, and I figured that would be
pretty
very difficult.
expensive rides,
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
So. Okay, next item, I had provided each of you with the, and again, Rich touched on it briefly, the Belton Park 2023, and I certainly heard your message that, you know, some of those duplicated areas where we have 3 towns that have certainly legal services, insurance, as well as equipment, something that should be considered down the road. So what what East Bloomfield did was no formal resolution. They actually took this, I have the similar package to what Fred put together, and just asked if, in a meeting such as this, are you fine with this budget of our portion of $53,026? And if so, that's all I'm looking for, is your support that way, with the message to them that we're looking for areas of savings and a leaner budget moving forward. And I know one of the commissioners is in the room here as well, sitting here listening. So again, not looking for a formal resolution, just if you're supportive of their budget. If not, we're on the hook for 53 regardless, so.
Yeah, I think we'll move forward, but to your point and the discussion earlier, we need to look for those opportunities to save some money. And I know we've talked a lot about, you know, bringing Farmington in. I don't know where that stands at the moment, but that still needs to be something I think we need to push and pursue to help offset some of what we're experiencing from a cost perspective.
You know, it's interesting. I mean, Lisa, you weren't here when we were talking about our, in the budget part, but I was looking at where we might have duplicate services, like, you know, does the commission need legal service if the towns have legal service provided? You know, does the commission need to expend that money to retain Reed or whatever they do, you know? And then insurances, same thing. I mean, if the 3 towns have insurances, which include Boughton Park, does the commission need to have insurance? You know, so it was those types of cost savings things that we're looking to make sure that we're not double billing the taxpayers for things that we don't necessarily have to provide for. So it wasn't big things. I mean, obviously, you know, we're talking about, I did mention Chauncey and you and the advocacy that you have representing the town. I think I was over there this morning. I mean, it's a beautiful resource and certainly we want to continue to keep it grow. But any chance we can find to save some monies. And the other thing, as long as we're talking about it, I was going to mention it during our expenditures. You know, the Victor Central School District doesn't have any issue charging us for rent for the facilities up there for our own kids who are taxpayers to begin with. And they certainly don't have any problem charging us for real estate taxes. And I understand how all that works. And I'm dead serious that Dewey Weimer needs to figure out how many Farmington students get on the bus and go over to Boughton Park and take up kayaking and canoeing in their phys ed class. And there needs to be a prorated charge for those students that are illegally using Boughton Park. And I'm just saying, the goose, the gander, whatever that meant, you know, years ago. I just think that, you know, we roll over a lot of times. And I know, and I used to think that, oh, we're all, you know, looking out for the taxpayer and we're all taking care of each other. But, you know, as you grow and as municipalities get bigger and as you get less and less, I don't want to say that we're not a small town group anymore, but we're not a small town anymore. And it's business as usual. And I think a lot of times it's just cost of doing business. And, you know, I mean, if we're going to have to charge our residents and charge Farmington kids differently, and, you know, I just think that it just doesn't seem fair to me that some things like that are overlooked, and then other things, oh, Town of Victor, you need to pay.
You know, Councilman, you make a great point, and actually, if you recall, a year ago, Brian actually put in a lot more money into this calendar's budget because we were unsure of the new leadership up at the school between the school superintendent, finance, and athletics, where we would fall as far as what those charges, because we had heard rumor that they were really, unfortunately, I'll use the term, putting it to a lot of those, you know, soccer, baseball, and whatnot, and we had concerns that also, you know, for us, you know, it wasn't as bad as we thought it would be, but still, to your point, make a great point about those Farmington students going over there, and we just say, yeah, okay, and there's no charge, but.
I mean, there's no question that it's always been a pay-to-play, right? So if you're going to take Victor Travel Basketball, and Gary Leonard's going to take a group of kids up there, and they're going to be in the gym from 8 to 9 at night, there's going to be a fee involved. You got to keep the lights on and things of that nature. But other than running the floor machine over the floor and locking the doors on your way out, it's not like a huge inconvenience. And the money that these families are being asked to pay, whether it's for, you know, just to use the facilities in which the taxpayers have already paid for it once. And I'm not saying that we don't have to pay for maintenance and upkeep and things of that nature. But I think it's in a lot of aspects and a lot of circumstances, I think it's I don't know, I think it's a money grab.
I agree with you, Dave. I think there's certain things that the lines have been blurred when you talk about Victor Farmington Library, Victor Farmington School District. You know, Farmington is growing, and we've already talked about the influx of cash that they get out of the Racino that we don't see anything of, right? So I agree with you. I think there needs to be a little bit from our conservative spending approach is, you know, we need to not pay for things that Farmington should be paying for if we agree that they should be paying for them. So let's just keep that in mind as we move forward. But yeah, your point is well taken.
Just a little beef for Tuesday night.
Any more beefs, Bo? Okay. Very good. We'll turn to our town clerk, I know.
I just wanted to say the town clerk has received the tentative budget, and a copy was sent to each board member.
Thank you, Kim. In your packet, you had the fire department's monthly report for September. At your place setting, or I handed out earlier, the monthly traffic report from the Ontario County Sheriff's Department. 4 things real quick. Town of Victor, the Health and Wellness Fair will be next Wednesday from 9 to 1 throughout this building. Early voting starts here at Town Hall on Saturday, October 29th, and ends on Sunday, November the 6th. I did receive a Serenity House thank you letter from the treasurer for the $44 contribution from our town hall employees for the weekly Jeans Day that they have. And final thing, I know many of you, the Cornell Cooperative Extension hosts several events for collection of tires, paints, electronic items. Well, on September 24th, they held their first ever mattress recycling event in the towns of Canandaigua and Geneva, and they collected 165 mattresses to be disassembled and recycled. So I anticipate that this will become an annual event. So that's all I have.
And we should continue to encourage that because, I mean, obviously, they can use the punch card, you know, to get rid of one at our recycling, but certainly be more cost-effective for us and for them if they took them to the recycling for the free pickup for the county.
In fact, I think coming up, maybe a week from this Saturday, is another one of those electronic.
Yeah, e-waste.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, moving to the business section, starting with resolution number 1 from the town historian.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion is approved. Human Resources, the appointment of Jose Lopez to motor equipment operator position for the town of Victor. And again, this is a direct result of the transfer of David Knapp to the Parks Department. And
So moved.
And this is Jose, correct? Hello, congratulations, sir.
Welcome.
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 All those in favor?
Aye.
There you go, you're official. 6 a.m. to work tomorrow, right? Is that what time he's got to report? Oh. Welcome. Let's see, from the Parks Department, number 3, authorization to enter into an agreement with Marathon Engineering for the dog park at Harlan Fisher.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Number 4, again, this is an authorization to enter into an agreement with Bayer Landscaping for the architect for Harlan Fisher.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Number 5, agreement with C&A Pavement marking for crosswalk striping at Auburn and Lehigh Valley Trails and shared use path crossings.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Number 6, and this will be awarding the bid for Lane Road Sidewalk Project to Keeler Construction.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Number 7, let's see, awarding the bid for the 2022 Pump Station Improvement Phase 1. Lowest bidder is Dasco Pipeline, and we have had some very positive experience with Dasco previously when we had the $9 million sewer project a few years ago.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Number 8 is setting the public hearing for the 2022 special assessment roll to collect sewer district fees, capital and recovery charges, lighting districts, and central water.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And number 9, setting the public hearing for your town budget.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Number 10, 2023 shared services agreement with Ontario County Soil and Water for support for a 2-year period from January 1, 2023 through December 31st, 2024.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, back to public comment. Susie, do you have anyone? Okay. Any other members of the public care to address the town board? Hearing none, a motion to adjourn this meeting then.
So
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
We go into executive session, we have to have a motion.
We're good.
Okay.
Good to go.
Thank you, everyone. Jose, congratulations again, welcome aboard.